It's live.
Oh shit! It has a problem with. Oh, is it live?
It's live. We're
My bad.
live.
Okay, well, it's telling me there it didn't work. I'm on Restream, everybody. Ain't nobody's here, thank goodness. All right, so hey, I'm your proud and humble leader, Mike Asherbrenner of the Hounds of Business community, and I have the one and only April Wyett here to carry my tired self through the intro of this show. How are you, April, our Hounds ambassador?
I am doing amazing, Mike. It's so awesome to be here with you and everyone here to talk about the roadmap to holiday wellness and goal crushing. I can't wait for this conversation.
You can't either. I wish I could, I should have one of you host and I could just sit back and watch because my holiday season's already like a lot. I mean, I'm not complaining, but wow, but we do. We go through the same stuff and sometimes we repeat the same patterns, right? Honestly, to me, and we'll open this up, that you know how everybody talks about the definition of insanity, right? It's
Yes.
holiday. Even the smartest, brightest people can just on the holidays. It's just wild. Demands are being pulled. You go to places you don't want to go. You eat like crap, and then you just get downward spiral. And that's why we're pulling this show together. We want to make sure that people, hey, you're not hopeless. You're not alone. Happens to the best of us. So we're gonna have a great, friendly chat today and have a good time talking about it. And let's see. Is it? Oh, Pat Kennedy is here.
Hey, Pat.
But good to see you. Pat just started. Hey, if Pat's a stray, somebody go out there and say, hey, let's go to the group call. I'm not even going to be playing anymore. I'm just going to go. Anytime I see a high level, heart centered pro pop in, I'm just going to go at it. They'll come back or they'll leave. Leanna. Oh my goodness, good to see you. How are you? Let us know how you're doing in the comments. How's your and participate, guys? Put share your stories, successes. Tell people that they're not alone. Interact with these folks. All right, they took their time out. They're all professionals. They're high level, and have a blast. Oh, speaking of high level,
Oh,
there's
Royce.
Royce.
Yeah.
Hey,
fellow hound in the house.
I got one or two words for you, Royce. I'm not sure what. Blow pop. That's all I'm gonna say. Good to see you. Only folks on the Hounds networking yesterday would know what I'm talking about. All right. See, that's why you got to show up. That inside joke, you're missing out. And Yolanda, good to see you.
Hello, Yolanda.
What?
And I saw Homer
April,
was on as well.
Oh, did I miss Homer? There's Homer. It's Squire Homer. He calls me Sir Mike, so I call him Squire Homer. He's a good dude. He helps me out a lot. I appreciate you, Homer. You're a good dude. And LinkedIn user, that must be Sarah Pushko. Let's see if it is. Did I get it? Even a blind squirrel catch a nut every now and then. Did I get it right? Who is LinkedIn user? All right.
It's a
So good.
mystery
Everybody's
guest.
popping in. It is. Oh, and by the way, real quick, you're still all happy and refreshed, and so the Bali retreat. Are you still in Bali in your mind? Like what? How was that? Real brief.
Wow, that's all I can say. Pictures are coming. I have my digitalographer creating things for me to post. But let me just tell you, the people, and this is just like the Hounds of Business community. No pun or plug here. The people is what makes Bali. They are just beautiful inside and out. They meet you. They welcome you. You can feel their compassion. And of course, the food as well is so fresh and nutritious. So just all the things about Bali, I highly encourage anybody who's been curious about going, DM me, ask me questions. I'm going to host another retreat in 2026 in Bali. So going to spread the love and all the good stuff around. So thank you for asking.
Well, hey, you're welcome. And we'll tell them about the one in February in California here in a second. Let's roll the intro before people go because they're like, where's the intro? And I'm using StreamYard because both platforms and Restream decided just to act up. And I'm at that age where even if you change the graphics, I'm like, I can't. You're like, it turns my complete old man turns on. Like I'm one step away from chasing kids off my porch with a broom, man, like Gargamel. So yeah, I need this show. All right, we're going to get the party started, and here we go. If I
Are you looking to grow your network and your net worth with other high-level, heart-centered professionals? Then grab a seat and your favorite beverage and join Mike Asherbrenner, the Redneck Connector. It's time for the Hounds of Business Community Happy Hour.
All right, everyone. So I want to give a shout out real quick to my good friends, Tanya Eberhardt, Michael Carr at Brandface. Oh my gosh, if they don't spoil us enough. And then I get this, they actually mailed their client spotlight newsletter and put it in a picture frame. Wow. It is because I knew something was coming, but then the email I got said it would be like from the 4th to the 20th. And I'm like, what in the world could take 20 something days to get to my house? I said, are you sending me like a cow or something? Like, what in the world? Like, I don't want a big tractor trailer pull up and a herd of cows come out. But on all seriousness, I remember Scott Heathman got his, and I was a little bit jelly. Should I say that out loud or no? April, it was a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I knew it was
just
coming.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, but anyway, I am super happy with it. And, again, it's more than just a pretty graphics and stuff. I mean, it really helped me tremendously. Met them a year and a half ago. And, they have a big part in the Hounds' success today. I mean, it was amazing. And they're caring people and they're more country than me. What's not to love? So scan the QR code, go to brandfacestar.com, check more out. And good people. And they have a group call coming up. So at least go on LinkedIn with Tanya Eberhardt and go check out their content, send a DM and join that because they have a highly ranked podcast and they're always looking for good people. So, and they know a lot of folks. So just go check them out, attend the call, and you won't be sorry. Let's see. Oh, and Jill Squire. All right. She had wrote the book on cancer survivorship, and we want to make sure folks have an opportunity to scan the QR code and go check out all the things she's got. She has a podcast for folks in cancer survivorship, loved ones. She's got books. She's got consultations, everything. Jill Squire, right? Sounds spelled just like it sounds. Go out there and connect with her on LinkedIn. Tremendous individual, a big heart, and she just has a passion for people. And again, shameless plug. This is what I love about it. These are just regular people that just got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and or just said, you know what? If somebody's got to do it, might as well be me. These are not people that came with, gazillion dollars and all this stuff. These are just folks that just say, hey, I'm gonna make stuff happen. And that's our folks, right? I love it. So thank you, Jill, for all you do, and also Rochelle, right? We have a lot of folks that do a lot with cancer, and as true with the Hounds, right, April? It's the same. It's because they had faced it or their loved ones faced it. And so they understand it. It's not like they got in business to make money on it. They got in business to help solve a problem they and their friends and family were going through. And that's special. So we want to support these folks. Jill, thank you so much for all you do. And hey, last but not least, the Colonel, right? Scott Heathman, Jeremiah Scott Heathman. He changed every now and then, but just look for Scott, 1T and Scott Heathman. He's all over LinkedIn. He's got events coming up. Don't miss out on that. He does everything from one-on-one coaching, executive group coaching, emotional intelligence workshops. This guy's the real deal. He's got some things in the pipeline. Keep checking his profile. Go follow him. You can go to elevatingothersllc.com. And I'm telling you, the guy ran Scott Air Force Base, y'all. He's the real deal. All right. If you have any idea, Google that and see how much logistical things and all kind of stuff, way more than qualified to help companies and leaders figure out, fix culture, get more results for what they got, decrease retention costs. This is your man. All right. And he's likable. What I like most about Scott is that people follow him without rank. That's impressive, right? I was asking to repost it. He was out there when their fire brigade, or what they call it. He was out there with them and they're like, hey, you want to do this and run up the towers and stuff? He did it. Now, I was a fireman for 8 years, April. Yeah, it's not something you just get off the couch and do. So, and that's the kind of leader he is. He leads from the front. And that's what companies need now more than any, leaders are willing to do what they're going to ask others to do. That's your man right there. So thank you for that. And I think that's it for now. Oh, don't want to spill the beans. All right, well, let's go ahead and get everyone. How about that? How about everybody in the comments? Everybody in the
we have
chat.
Julie here and Tommy. We got the Hounds in the house with Christine Bell and Shelley Cowan. So good to have everybody here.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And who is LinkedIn user again? Is that
it's a mystery?
Sarah,
it's the mystery guest.
Come on, Sarah. It's got to be Sarah. She just messing with me now. All right. That's okay. So welcome everybody. So we have David Medansky, and he is Jaded Health, right? He does the wellness workshops and this book that's spreading like wildfire. And I love this book because I hate to read like front to back. I just don't have the attention span or the time. I can just pick this thing up and say, what do I need to work on? Right. And then just there. And the fun part is we were joking backstage, everybody. Talking to David is like reading this book. It really is. It's like me. I'm the redneck parrot. I just say the same 5 stuff in a little bit different way. Like, but that means that hey, it's consistent. Like every time I go to grab a jug of orange juice and drink it all, I'm like, uh-oh, don't do that in front of David, like I did today. So anyway, David, how are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, April.
Good to see you. And then we have Julie Johnson, right, with Integrate. So do me a favor, introduce yourself, because you're kind of fairly new to, you're not new to the Hounds, but you're kind of new to the stage and getting and mingling because you're a busy lady doing amazing things in the world. So tell folks what you do, who you are. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, definitely. So I'm Julie Johnson. So my background is actually in a mixture of the training and development world and like mind body. So essentially like I teach yoga and breath work. And then I also have a background in training and development and instructional design. So I kind of blend these worlds together and we integrate together. So we actually train on mental and emotional well-being from what I'll explain later is a trauma-informed lens. And we have an app that we're putting out December 15th where, you can get all the details on our courses and trainings and our yoga classes. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of Integrate, but we're a whole professional community of similar heart-minded, like heart-centered professionals that are other yoga teachers, mental health professionals, and other just tech business people that, want to serve the people.
Yeah, the real deal. And
Right.
you have an event coming up, a synopsis coming up in March, and we are super excited. So we have sub-communities now with the new wave of the Hounds. And we're going next level with the Hounds. We already pushed the button. Everything, lead gen central, the heart-centered farming approach, guys. If you're out there struggling, flopping around, trying to figure out, oh, maybe I'm defective, maybe I'm not cut out for business or marketing. No, it's just, hey, wrong methods. All right, try our way. Right, we like to go push each other up. Right, I did something for April the other day, and I looked at LinkedIn, and here she is talking about how awesome I am and how grateful she is. Everybody's that, yeah, look, that's way better than me saying I'm great. People, well, they expect that, right? They don't expect a whole bunch of super pros to run over. You got to earn that. You can't buy at the corner store, guys. So if you're a stray out there, hey, you could come talk to me. I got a group call. It's entertaining as well as educational. But the point is, super excited because we have that sub community of mental health. And I'm super excited to have you guys who are licensed, and that's your job. Like, I'm not running the mental, I need mental health help. So I'm not running it. You guys are running it, moderating it, and that makes me so happy. So thank you again. This is what we attracted, people like this. So, and then we got Michelle Ward, all right, self-sabotage coach, also, all right, been there, done that. So very credible, went there, you relate to people. So tell us a little bit, because you have a company name I cannot pronounce to save my life. So go ahead and say it and tell the little folks a little bit about it.
Okay. So, hi, I'm Michelle. Thank you so much for having me, Mike. And it's so great to be in this wonderful company. So Elan Vital Coaching is my company, and Elan Vital in French means vital force. And I was trying to come up with a replacement for empower, because I didn't feel like empower really engulfed what I was trying to communicate. And so I found out about this phrase that was coined in 1907 by a French philosopher, Henry Bergson. And it was actually it's a book he wrote about evolution. And so I was like, oh, that's perfect, because this is what this is about. It's evolving through life. But we lose touch with that inner vitality, that vital force, because through the years, we're told what to think, what to do, what to say, what to wear. I don't know. And we're programmed from third trimester in the womb all the way up until 7 or 8 years old. And then we don't know how to deprogram ourselves. So that's what I do, is help people identify those subconscious beliefs that lead to self-sabotaging behaviors. So I kind of had to figure it out on my own through a lot of trials. And I'm very grateful for that. But I can help my clients with the shortcut to that, so they don't have to go through 5 to 10 years of pain.
Exactly. If you fell off the cliff 15 times, somebody ought to come and say, hey, how do I not fall off the cliff? That's your job. And you've been there. I mean, we've had conversations and I'm like, wow, do we have the same like life and family sometimes, but we're not the only ones. Sometimes everybody feels like they have to put up this front and this shield all the time. And no, you don't tell everybody, you don't show everybody the dirty laundry, but at some point you should reach out to somebody who's trustworthy and skilled, right, and can help you on this journey. I mean, when I did that, life changed. All right, trying to do it yourself, bury your head in the sand. We're going to talk about it. So, an audience, I put a question up there. Chime in. All right, what is your what are you guarding for your biggest stress trigger in this holiday season in 2025? All right. So, and how do you pronounce this guy's name? Thank you for showing. See, I that's why I don't shout people out, because I can't even say April half the time. So thank you for joining us. There's Royce. All right. I'm going to scroll through here.
Yeah.
April, we
Dr.
didn't give you
New's
proper.
here too. Dr. New, love
Yeah.
you, sis. Thank you for being here. Islam is also here. Lovely having him. It's just
Tommy,
amazing.
Kelly, Shelly. Tommy, Kelly, and Shelly are here. So now it's time to go. All right. Did you tell people what you living with intention? Did we talk about that a little bitty bit? Tell everybody if you don't mind. And I'll pull this back up real quick.
Well, just as everybody shared, right? It's all about us going through our own things. And so I created this forum, Living with Intention, after leaving 9 to 5 social work, and decided to do what I wanted to do, which is helping people to remember who they are. So just as Julie shared about trauma informed, and Michelle talking about what she does to help people understand the subconscious of what's happening. I work more intuitively with breath work and Reiki, and I host retreats to reset and restore basically the nervous system. And then that's when people can really tap into their own intuition and start living with intention instead of on the hamster wheel in survival mode, which is what we're going to get to tonight about the holiday grind, right? And how people get stuck in those those behaviors, right?
Absolutely. And you're hopefully we get to do regular LinkedIn audios. Who knows but we'll find a way to get you on there somewhere, because you have a great audio room. People love it, right? You
The
get
breathing
to learn.
room. Yeah, I had the breathing room, and I have a podcast, and the retreat coming up. We'll talk about that in February. So
It is. All right. So this is just kind of run of the mill. I want to make sure this is an organic combo as usual. So David, let's start with you, because all of us know, hey, eat right, eat better, right? Maybe we've been on a diet, maybe we're just not, we're thinking about it, right? Holiday season, so many reasons, we won't even get into it. Why people get derailed, they overeat, So what's the main thing from people that really trips them up, David, from a nutrition, wellness, health standpoint? What are some of the biggest things that cause people to go, off the path?
Well, procrastination keeps them from getting on the path to begin with. And so there are 3 types of people. You mentioned one of them, those who think about eating healthy or losing weight. There are those who talk about eating healthy and reducing weight. And then there are those who do it themselves and just don't talk about it and don't think about it. Sense of urgency, what comes to mind is there's got to be a sense of urgency to wanting to start now and not wait till after the holidays, because that's what everybody does. They make their New Year's resolution that they're going to go to the gym, they're going to start eating better, eating healthier. My question is, why wait? Why not start now? So that's the main thing, is what is your sense of urgency?
That's a great question. And so let me go to the 3 people who deal with the mind, right? Because, hey, David, what should I do? All right, well, be healthier, right? It's like, okay, what stops us from that? Who wants to add on to that? Who wants to go first? What are some of the reasons that we get tripped up, either messing up our regular routines during the December, or more importantly, getting all excited December about New Year's resolutions and commitments, and it falls to pieces in a week or two, right? Well, what are some of the things that go on with the mind and people that's common amongst most?
I think, well, I'll kind of chime in here. What I've noticed for people that are going to quote unquote start a diet or change a habit is that they kind of go crazy like through Sunday, and they're like, because I'm going to start my diet on Monday kind of thing. And so it's like, and it's this mindset of, it's like a scarcity mindset, right? So I think that is one of the things that that people struggle with whenever they think about dieting or changing habits or quitting drinking or just changing their mindset about things or thinking differently about things, is they think about what they're going to lose instead of what they're going to gain on the other side of it. But when you don't know what you're going to gain, it's very scary to have the courage to make the significant changes, especially during the holiday time where there's added stress of maybe family and memories that could trigger things. There's also, traditions and I always have pecan pie on Thanksgiving, or we always, do this thing on Christmas and that's okay. I know David has talked about this in other podcasts and lives about having maybe a 2-finger sliver of a piece of pie, or I've also talked about once you eat before you go, so you're not as hungry, because you show up someplace hungry, you're not going to make the best choices. And I speak from experience and recent experience on that. So don't put me in a Mexican food restaurant when I'm starving, because I will eat 4 bowls of chips by myself.
Going to town. I laugh for one reason, because CJ has little baby fingers, so we're going to give her 3 slices, man.
Okay.
All right. Well, I hope CJ's in the audience. All right. So thank you, CJ. Anybody else want to chime in? All right.
Well, go ahead, David. You're good.
I just want to say that a lot of times we'll say we'll do something tomorrow, and we all know tomorrow doesn't come. So if we put off till tomorrow what we can do today, and tomorrow never comes, we'll never do what we need to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do it now or do it later equals never.
Exactly. And I thought about loss too. So that's a good one. Go ahead, Julie.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I was kind of piggybacking on what, Michelle was saying. And I think something that comes up a lot, I know during the holidays. So I kind of come from this like trauma-informed lens from my background on, like, I didn't say this earlier, like recovery coaching, and also coming from like this trauma-informed mind-body lens where we're looking at it's not what happened to you. Sorry, it's not what's wrong with you. It's what happened to you. So lots of times with childhood, we're bringing, sometimes we respond through, we call it, an eating, through eating, for emotional responses to eating. And sometimes that couldn't be around family members that might have been a part of maybe childhood trauma, so we bring all of those in through the holidays, and so sometimes, I think learning to, obviously you can find this with like a therapist or a coach, but starting to kind of begin to undo the onion around those narratives can help. And it sounds like what Michelle does is kind of a part of the narrative, is seeing sort of where those, let's say, those triggers are coming from, when we're, in that space of about ready to self-sabotage, and from our lens, there is wisdom in those behaviors because they kept you alive for probably a very long time. But there's also, it doesn't help you thrive. That's always like the whole point.
So true.
Does it go back to the caveman days, right? Like that's, all this stuff that we needed to survive. I mean, you woke up and in the still dark outside, it could be a bear or a bush. You had to have that, right? You had to, but now, oh my gosh, we get triggered by so much it's not even real. Like, and I'm not speaking as somebody who's educated. I did School of Hard Knocks. Like I learned the hard way. That's why we're doing this show, and opening you all up, because people need this. But real quick, what stops people from seeking help in general, right? Because I know for me, a lot of times it's trust, right? There's a lot of different ways. So if somebody's secretly kind of struggling inside, and they see somebody that they might want to engage with, or they, what keeps people from doing? Is it just general fear? Is it, lack of confidence? What do y'all think in your client experiences and personal experience? April?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it really has to do with when you say that fear or uncertainty or that hesitance, for people to really tune into themselves. And I know, Julie, you're very trauma-informed care, and sometimes that can be triggering even, or I say activating. I don't like to use triggering anymore because people get triggered from triggering.
Yeah.
So we feel that heightened feeling, that sensation, and that's okay. For us to say, oh, I'm feeling a little heightened right now. I'm feeling this anxiety. How can I just pause a little bit, step back, take a breath, literally ask yourself, where are my feet right now? Pretend that you can breathe through your feet. And that helps to reset the nervous system into the parasympathetic. Just a little sip. You don't have to see rainbows and unicorns or anything like that. It's all just that ease, right? We want to melt the outer layers of that. So that way we can self-regulate. And so when we are engaging with other people, then we're in a more grounded awareness state. And so that's what I love to teach and to help coach my clients through the biodynamic breath work and trauma release.
Yeah. Did I lose you?
Looks like she got stuck.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, real quick. I was smiling again. Everybody was looking. I was smiling because she said, go put your toes in the grass. Take your shoes off. I'm like, I'm a redneck. Why do you think I wear shoes? I got sandals. Yeah, I was like, that's an easy one. I can do that one. Yeah, David's saying don't drink all that orange juice, and she's saying walk around like you normally do. I said, okay, I can handle that. But that's a good point. Anybody else want to chime in on that? Like, what keeps people, once they're aware, we ain't even got to that part. But when somebody's ready to, they're just, oh, I got to do something. Why do people not engage or seek help or whatever?
Well, a lot of people think it's because of a lack of motivation, but I think that's too simplistic.
Yeah, me too.
There are so many programs running in the background of our minds. If you're not aware and able to identify what those programs are and what those subconscious beliefs, the limiting beliefs are, then you're just going through life on autopilot. And so that's why so many people start their, they make their New Year's resolution in January, and by mid-February, they've forgotten, right? And that's, I think, 80% or maybe even more. By March, it's like 95% people have not. I mean, it's a crazy number. Well, why is that? It's not a lack of motivation. Is it a lack of self-love? Or, I mean, a lot of people would say, no, that's probably not what it is. But I know for myself, whenever I would go through that, and a lot of my clients, it's because they don't feel deserving. They don't feel worthy at a subconscious level. It's not something that they're aware of. And a lot of that, like Julie will tell you, and April too, it goes back to childhood experiences, trauma. And, it doesn't have to be a big T trauma, like some horrible, horrible thing, but it could have been a way a teacher spoke to you, or a way, a parent yelled, or or what you observed in your environment, not even realizing not knowing how to interpret it.
Here's what I've learned from brutal personal experience. You need a guide. I mean, that's the whole point. Like, it's why chiropractors don't crack their own necks, right, David? Right? Like, I'm in finance. It's like, well, I know not to. I even do it. Give me the Amazon app and see what happens. Right? Like, so what is your experience in this when you work with folks? Because you're not in so much in the mental space, but that gets in the way of your clients, your corporate clients, the wellness, employee benefits, and all that. So what do you do when somebody just keeps on, like they're not ready to go there?
Well, I like to use short stories and parables with life lessons. And one of my favorite ones is the pot roast story. Some of you are familiar with it, some of you may not be, but simply stated, a lady was hosting a dinner party and she made a pot roast. And one of the guests says, "This is delicious. Can I get the recipe?" And the host says, "Of course." She writes it down for her, gives it to the guest. The guest looks at it, reads, and says, why do you cut the ends of the pot roast off? And the host says, I don't know. That's how my mom taught me. So the next day, the host calls her mom and says, Mom, why do we cut the ends of the pot roast off? Mom says, that's how your grandmother taught me. Call your grandmother. So the host calls her grandmother and says, hey, Grandma, why do we cut the ends of the pot roast off before we cook it? Grandma thinks for a minute and she goes, oh, because when I was first married, the pot I had was too small for the pot roast. So I had to cut the ends off.
That's great.
That is where you start looking into why do you eat certain things, like, as Michelle said, oh, you have pecan pie or pumpkin pie every Thanksgiving or every Christmas. And why do you eat certain things? Why do you eat a certain way or at a certain time? Well, that's how your parents or grandparents or maybe, a close friend, you learn from them. So you have to start questioning why you eat certain things or a certain way or at a certain time to figure out what the underlying issue is. And then another short story, just real quickly, is from the book. Everybody was coming into a business, all the employees, because someone had passed away, and they were wondering if it was the CEO, and they thought, wow, this is great. This is my opportunity to advance. And so as they're passing by, paying their respects to the coffin, they look in, and what's inside is a mirror. And next to the mirror is a little note that says, the person that's holding you back is looking at you. And sometimes we don't look in the mirror and look at ourselves to see that we're the ones holding ourselves back.
Go ahead, Julie, because to me, that was the game changer. It wasn't that things are okay in life and it wasn't just or whatever. But when I realized, hey, man, when you take personal responsibility, yeah, it's up for you to fix it, right? It's not other people. It's not, the dog barks, I don't have to be in the room kind of stuff, right? Like, you can't push my buttons if I take the buttons off. So what's your perspective?
Well, one thing that David said that I just wanted to bring voice to for, people who may not even at that take responsibility level of change is curiosity. And I think that that's a really important lens here, is like, especially if you're just hearing this, and because I was looking at the comments, so I was like, if you're just hearing this and you're like, yeah, I see this, I just don't know what to do with it. Like, I see it all the time. Lots of times we see these things and we're like, yeah, what do I do? I think leaning into curiosity, and I love the like self-inquiry, right? This is where like mindfulness, and I call it philosophizing your mind a little bit, I mean, like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder where that comes from. And and I think without like creating like a narrative, but I think just being like, oh, that's curious. I wonder why I do that. I really like what David said about what I can't remember what you said, but you're talking about sort of just beginning to question and ask questions, about sort of the things you see around your family, around your behaviors around your family. And but it's kind of like leaning into curiosity without judgment, not like in a very self-compassionate way, but like, I wonder what the history is behind there. I still do it. And I've been I've been doing this work for 15 years. I still do that. It's something that I think that can help with sort of that moving into changing the behavior, is just being curious at every level of your, transformation.
Yeah, and being okay with it too. Like being okay with feeling fearful and feeling angry. Like there's no good or bad emotions. They're just our emotions. Now, what you do with them can, be a negative or a positive thing. But if you're angry about something, or you're fearful about something, or I know that there's certain people that whenever I used to, when I get around them, I mean, my heart would just start palpitating, and I'm like, what is this all about? And then I got to the point where I could, I knew why they made me nervous or made me uncomfortable, or, and I could link that back to previous interactions or encounters with them. And yeah, we're talking about eating and all that stuff through the holidays. And somebody made a comment about how it's, what you do the other 11 months of the year, and I understand that. But it's identifying why you're doing the things that you're doing and becoming aware of them and being okay with going down that path. Because what you'll find is when you start identifying the fears, the anger, the whatever it is, and you befriend it, it's not as scary anymore.
Yeah, it's the boogeyman oftentimes, right? Like I'm like, oh my God, this thing's gonna happen, and it's either doesn't happen 95% of the time, or it's not as scary as it's the monster under the bed, right? In a lot of things.
I think it's also good to know kind of what Michelle's saying and what you were saying to a certain degree, Mike, is it's still you. You know what I mean? It's still you. And there's like wisdom to, like I said, there's always wisdom to even I call them survivor behaviors. You know, they're not bad or good, but it's just understanding the root of them. You know, and that's where like therapy and some of those deeper subconscious work, you know, coaching is all part of it. But I think holding ourselves to that space of, yeah, it's still me. And not being afraid of those emotions or those parts of yourself, you know, that act in that way. I think that's the subconscious work that Michelle does, you know, and April does too. But I think that, you know, kind of being open and being curious and having that lens of self-compassion is really a big part of that too.
Well, look, there's a giant elephant in the room, right? And Michelle and I were talking about this today. So when we talk about the subconscious patterns that trigger stress, right, from childhood, things we might not be aware of. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, but family gatherings, traditions, you know, if you're like my family's, yeah, and a lot of families, boy, you know, you got to see these folks once or twice a year, and it's probably one of the most difficult times. So on that note, right, and you may have a happy family, but you know, most of us, they're like, oh my goodness, should I go here? And some of us have very unhealthy dynamics. So on that note, you know, let me see. I can't find it. Did y'all see? Can you see me?
Yes.
I switched platforms. I can't figure nothing out. It's bad. All right. So I mean, okay. So how do family dynamics during the holidays typically trigger us, and what can we do about it? So, for example, one time I had my mom. She told me, well, you know, and I always felt like I had to go to, you know, a family member's house. And then finally, one day, I said, I don't want to go. She said, why? I said, because I just don't. I want to enjoy my holiday, right? Maybe not the most tactful thing, but I said, I'm just don't feel like going. I could have said I was sick. COVID was a great excuse for a couple of years. We missed that one, right? And so now it's like, well, you know, I don't want to go. And I remember her saying, well, Dad's going to be really upset. I said, is he? I said, put Dad on the phone. Let me ask Dad. Dad's listening on speakerphone. Dad said, I'm okay. I'll see you next week. And my, oh, boom, right? And this whole thing. And here's my take, and I want you all to chime in. I did it. But here's what I'm not an expert. I want y'all to weigh in. When I thought about this, I thought two things. Am I doing this to get back and be spiteful and pretend like I'm not? Or am I doing this because I truly want to be happy and I just got to do what I got to do? Even if other people are upset, I want to enjoy myself this year, right? Like, so the difference of that, once you're aware of, you know, I'm ready to do something. Boy, it could be scary, right? Because then people who don't get their way kind of act out. So you know what I'm talking about. Folks in the comments, you don't have to say anything, but if you know a friend or somebody, right, you can chime in on that. But
Asking
yeah,
for a
I know.
friend.
Yeah, Bob has that problem, right? It's okay. Tell Bob's story. But we all have that issue. So that's how I handled it. And honestly, it was a nightmare. It was hard at first, but then guess what? People got used to that. And then I started coming around because I wanted to go get myself a little bit better. So my whole thing was, if I skip out on Christmas and I do the inner work, maybe I can go and be okay, right? Have my cake and eat it too in Easter time or something, right? What is your all's take on this? Because it can really challenge people and families can fight over this. It's awful. What do you think?
Mike, you hit the nail on the head with, you know, the obligation and other family members putting that pressure on. And it's really sacrificing our sanity, really. So you did the right thing. And it is hard. It is very challenging to stand up to your mother or your sister, whoever it is, and say, you know, I'm just going to, you know, pause here, or sure, I might show up, you know, just not, you don't have to. You don't have to do anything you don't want to, especially when it really induces anxiety, right? And you feel that and you dread it and all the things, because then that's when the overeating, over drinking, you just feel worse afterwards. So I always ask myself, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel? Have conversations with yourself. Check in with yourself. This is about building your own emotional intelligence as well, and self-regulating and knowing who you are, not what everyone else wants you to do for their benefit. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Go ahead. Next.
Well, I'll jump in. What I usually tell my clients is if you're going to a holiday party or a family get together, and the host has gone through the expense, effort, and time to make, a dinner or whatever they're going to serve. A lot of times I just say, I appreciate your effort to do this and going through the expense. However, I'm on a restricted diet and I will have to forego this evening. And thank you so much. And a couple lines I like to use is more for you, or it'll look better on you than on me. And my last one that I use sometimes is better in the trash than on my ass.
That should be on a t-shirt. Hey, wait a
Yes,
minute.
that needs to be on a t-shirt. Although I got
It
it,
needs to
I
be
got
on
the
your-
best t-shirt right now.
Yes,
Navy
congratulations.
My
Congratulations.
son
Congrats.
just graduated from Navy boot camp, so I had to
That's
just shout
exciting.
out. I saw somebody put in the chat, but anyway,
That's
yes,
exciting.
I love that. I would love for that to be on a t-shirt.
And the
Well,
other thing is, a lot of times people are drinking, you feel, left out if you're not partaking or participating with them. What I do a lot of times, if I don't want to drink, is I'll grab a glass of wine and walk around with it. And at the end of the night, just put it down. And
Yeah.
it looks like I'm drinking when I'm really not. So that way no one knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like you filled up your glass all night long. You're like, oh, grab him an Uber. This
Wait,
glass
real
is
quick.
full all night long.
I said baby fingers, and now Dr. CJ came up. And look at this. She's been frowning all day long. Don't you tell me that. Look at hey, hey, where's that block button? Hey, CJ, text me where the block button on StreamYard is. I don't know where it is.
He's going to
All right.
block you. No, don't do
Yeah,
it.
don't. Yeah. So great advice. Who else hadn't chimed in on this? Because I know nobody wants to ask the question, but they're taking notes right now going, thank God it's not just me. And thank you for the tips.
Well, I'll just tell a really quick story because this is a recent thing that happened 2 years ago. I've hosted Thanksgiving and Christmas for 25 to 30 people every year, all my family, for the last 20 years, because I have a house that fits the people and it's centrally located. Well, anyway, so 2 years ago, everybody gets their assignments and brings the food. Well, apparently there was something that was off limits to my family for some reason. And my cousin just went crazy, without going into the details, just dressed me down, my children, in front of the entire family. And it was so perplexing. And so anyway, after that happened, I was like, you're not welcome here again. Well, so fast forward a year, everybody's like, are you going to be hosting Thanksgiving? I said, yes, but they're not invited. Well, that caused more problems. And so my other cousins said, well, if you're not inviting them, we're not going to make a choice between y'all and them. So we'll all just do our separate Thanksgiving. So I felt the pressure because it was a family tradition. I'm typically the peacemaker, the problem solver, the host. And so I said, okay, fine. Everybody can come. And it was the worst Thanksgiving for me. And it wasn't because of anything that happened, but the energy, I just felt like, I don't know. It was just not good for me because I did not stick to my boundaries, and I did not. And part of me was like, I didn't protect my children, I mean, they are 23 and 24 years old, but still it felt like, or 22 and 23. It still felt like I wasn't sticking up for them because they had gotten yelled at for eating something that they weren't supposed to eat. So anyway, all that to say, you've got to you got to go with that gut and stick to your boundaries. Otherwise you're the one that suffers because everybody else had a great time while I was sitting there uncomfortable in my own home. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's people pleasing. Go ahead, Julie.
I was just going to say, I can relate to that, Michelle, about the parent thing. So I have a daughter who is on the spectrum and doesn't like to be touched and doesn't like hugs and doesn't like, all the things that, older generations, love hugs and high fives, and she hates all of them. And she's also a female that's like, in puberty, so there's there's some, things. And, I when she started to kind of was 10, 11, 12, I had to like really take my dad aside and be like, hey, air high fives is like what she wants. She and I had a conversation about comfort, before a holiday get together. And my dad just doesn't always, he just doesn't see it. It's really not intentional. It just does not bypass. She's not 5 anymore. She's 14, almost 15, now.
Yeah.
And so we've just had to have conversations, with like, what's your comfort level? How do you want to show people you care? That's within her boundaries, and upholds that. So I really resonate with what you saw that with your family, because, I think it's really important to honor, our kids' boundaries too, and what our kids' comfort level is, and teach a generation that boundaries are okay, and to listen to those. And also, like, my dad, I had to also pull aside and be like, hey, she's 15. She also has some sensory processing, things. The way she receives affection isn't the way you show it, so how can we find this other space, and I think just for me, it was just being comfortable to kind of step into that space between generations and kind of holding the line on that. So I'm glad that you saw that, but that you were aware, and that says a lot about your parenting as well, for your girls.
Yeah, Thanksgiving was very different this year because I had no one here. So, I mean, except for my family. But it was wonderful. We had a great time. So,
yeah. And again, to me, it was getting to the point now I can go and I'm fine. I actually enjoy it because, I've grown. It doesn't affect me. He can say whatever, but people don't say and trigger. All right. And so I could handle it. But now people know if I say that, I'm probably going to get cake thrown at me. I better probably not do that. Right. So, and it was gentle. But me and David are old school. It's called respect, right, David? Like I respect you, respect me. You don't want to do it, it's fine. Like when somebody calls me and says, hey, will you help me move? And I used to make up excuses. Now I just say no. I would love to, but I'm not. And well, why? Because I'm busy, watching TV or something. And it's not mean. It's just that's the inner. It's okay to not, to put yourself first. And if a lot of folks out there who are people pleasers and doormats, it's not what's happening around you. It's your interpretation of it. That's what I've discovered. Like, hey, just because other people throw a fit and do whatever doesn't mean I have to bend to that, right? But that takes work. That's not something you just pop up and do. That takes a lot of work, right, Julie? Right? Like, you don't go to one therapy session and woohoo! Like you have to work at it. But what I found is it doesn't take as long. Like me, I was like, oh my God, it's going to take 50 years for me to get to, over childhood trauma and stuff. And it took about a year to get to a really next level place. So point is just do it. Right. And what's the first step somebody can do if they're struggling right now? Is it too late, or can they, what's your recommendation? They're like, man, I don't want to go next week, but I don't know if I could handle all the drama. Like, so CJ's question came after I asked it. Same thing. Sometimes you have to offend, but is there some tactful ways other than lying straight out that we could avoid it, or is it just?
Yeah, I definitely don't think you should lie, because that always comes back to bite you in the, what. So being honest and just non-emotional about it, non-emoting. Don't bring up things. I don't want to come because I think that your husband is a jerk and he said this about so-and-so last year and it really offended me. Just, it could just be like, we're just doing something different this year with a smaller group, and I love you. And I hope you have a wonderful Christmas holiday, and if you want to say, perhaps we can schedule a lunch together, because that's, just a small amount of time after the holidays are over.
I got it. April, Wyett, do a Bali or some retreat so we can all go, we can blame you.
Yeah.
I'm going to Bali with April. Sorry.
For sure. I'd love to host everyone and not even think about the holidays or any of that. And that was amazing that I experienced that during the election, because nothing, right? Crickets. We were all breathing. We were meditating. We were watching the ocean. That's what living's all about, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just being present, being in that space that we feel good in without sacrificing our mental health for others.
I think you also have to ask your, I'm sorry, go ahead, Julie. I've been talking too much.
Oh, no. I'm going to just volley it back to you all here in a second. But I was just going to say, what I hear everybody saying is almost like, it almost seems like having a plan. That's what I always say, is go in with a plan, plan A, B, and C. And I think, that's something I always like, whether it's food. I have a history of, an eating disorder. So I always like would go into the holidays with like a plan, you know, of like, you know, in these certain situations that I could predict every year. Cause the good thing about family is they don't change. So like you can almost predict what every person's going to do, you know, every year, at least in my family, you know, what food's going to be there. But I think having like a plan, a mental health plan is really good. You know, like if you're going to be around this person, you know, what can I say to get, you know, to not offend them, but like set a boundary for, you know, like what, a lunch date, you know, later on down the road or something along those lines. But I think having a plan for your, you know, your activation moments that at least I can predict in my family what they all are at every point in time. You know, the shrapnel is there. It never change, you know, it's always there waiting for me. The trenches are there every year. And I think just knowing how I can get around them and having like plans and boundaries are good to do. And then when you have them, I write them out on my phone and then I'm like, okay, that just happened. Now I'm going to go, you know, now I'm going to go on a drive to my car or I'm going to go to my in-laws house or something like that. You know, you can, you know, give yourself a compassionate pause with things.
I love that.
All right. So, unless David wants to chime in, he's been quiet. He's wise man. Look at him. He always speak when spoken to, man.
Bunch of women
All right.
around here. He's like, can't get a word in edgewise.
Nope,
That's why
everything's
he's
good.
here. Yeah. Well, David's the best. David, he comes up with stuff that's not lies, but it gets the job done. All right. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spill the beans, but he gave me one the other day. I was like, that's brilliant. Nobody's going to be mad at that. And I get to do what I need to do. Right. Like so get creative. Here's the thing. When you feel like you're stuck, then it sucks. Like when you feel like I can't change anything, I can't do nothing, you know, and that's not true. And what I hear the common theme, correct me if I'm wrong, because we're going to get into and finish this up with 2025, right? New Year's plans, goals, all these kind of things. But when I look at, you know, my own life, I'm thinking define success for yourself. We've been told who to be, how to act, society, parents, blah, blah, blah. And when I hear people, especially people in their 40s and 50s, you know, like, hey, I'm just now figuring out life for myself. And that's exciting, scary as hell, but it's exciting because now you're not a victim. You're not just getting blown around with the wind, right? Now you're in charge. You get to decide what you do. It's a little unnerving, but hey, if I could do it, who the hell can? That's my mantra. So let's switch gears. 2025 is coming around the corner. If you're like me, man, I get a head start. Like I started 2025 in Halloween. Now I was ready to go, like prep work. So so a lot of folks nowadays in the last 10, 20 years say, oh, I don't do resolutions, but they still have goals. They still have desires. So whatever you call it, right, it's the same stuff. So people in the audience, folks here, Hounds, friends of the Hounds, hey, chime in, tell us, you know, hey, what is your goals? And also, what are some of the biggest challenges that you're going to face with that? So what are some of the biggest challenges when people set goals in your all's experience with clients? What are some of the things that you hear, right? And if you want, elaborate on, you know, a couple of things you could do about it. David.
Well, with most of my clients, their goals are to either reduce weight, become healthier, lower their A1C, you know, stop being a pre-diabetic or diabetic, get off medications, all sorts of stuff. The question is, again, sense of urgency. How much do you want it? And is your why bigger than your excuses? Because a lot of times people will make excuses or they get results. You can't have both. So little things like that. And my philosophy is attitude is everything. And I have a little thing I have in front of my computer. It says, the older I get, the healthier I become. The healthier I become, the more motivated I am to be healthier. And my philosophy is I'm growing younger as I get older. A lot of my high school classmates have an opposite feeling. It's like they're preparing to die. And I'm preparing to live. And I only have one thing on my bucket list. People say, what's on your bucket list? I only have one thing. And that's to live to be 120 years or older in excellent health and have my cognitive abilities. So healthy mind, healthy body, and, you know, healthy spirit. That's, you know, my goals every year is just to remain healthy and improve on becoming healthier.
Wow. That was a good answer, David. See, hey, read the book. It's like talking to David, right? And yeah. And Christine Bell, honesty with love. That I like, hey, have assertiveness, have self-respect, but temper it with love, right? Temper it. Or if you're a doormat, you know, temper your doormat love with self-respect and boundaries, right? It's a balancing act to me. It's like, hey, I still love people, but I gotta love myself first. Make decisions.
Mhm.
So who wants to chime in? Some of the obstacles that get in the way, people set goals, business, life, and what are some things in your experience, Julie, that that you identified, and what are some things people could do?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I just wrote a Facebook. I was like, I'll bring it over to LinkedIn tomorrow because I was just thinking about it as David was talking. I think for me, I think sometimes I have been able to set such long-term goals that I actually I outgrow the goal. So the shifting the goal, right? I think for me, sometimes I'll be like, I'm gonna I have a goal that I want to go do like an herbal intensive in Vermont. But then I was like, well, what if I want to go to Montana? You know what I mean? I mean, that's kind of a shift in goals, but I think there's something about being okay shifting the goal that for me, I'm learning to sort of it's not doing the goal, but it's like you're going to keep growing as you go for your long-term goals,
Mhm.
and that you might have to you might outgrow the original goal, but there will maybe be a better goal that's more in alignment for for me as I go develop and grow as well. So that was just something I've been thinking about recently. But in terms of why other people coach, some of the clients I've worked with, people I've trained, um, I think, it's definitely, I think, going back to those belief systems and also a fear of releasing those patterns of Michelle's would be self-sabotage, because those patterns can be a part of our identities and a part
Yes,
we believe we are.
that's
And that's what,
exactly
especially
right.
with especially with childhood trauma. So there has to be sort of this, kind of this acceptance that there's new people we can be, as we develop and, into, a space of thriving.
Yeah, that's why I love having you in the pack, and like this is good. This is good stuff because and what's this have to do with business? Everything, y'all. It has because you can have the best sales scripts and business plans and money and but if you don't have the self-belief, confidence, and the resilience and all the things that go with it, that's what's holding you back. That was my experience.
Mhm.
So let's see who we're gonna go. April. We didn't get to hear
Ah,
from you yet. You got a lot of
such a
experience.
really good discussion. And I apologize, my bandwidth might be a little slow. So if I freeze on you, hopefully I'm smiling. But I like to say, just as everybody's chiming in about belief systems, about being aware of self-sabotaging, about old repetitive behaviors, when we're under a lot of stress, we need to give ourselves some ease and grace, first and foremost, because our brains are hardwired to go to the easiest thing to do when we're stressed. And what is the easiest thing? It's those new neural pathways that are carved
Mhm.
out, those old behaviors
Yeah.
that we revert back to. And then we keep asking ourselves, why I did that again. And it's just so frustrating. So having that ease and grace and placing your attention on your intention.
Mhm.
So asking yourself every day when you get up, the first thing before you even put your feet on the floor, how do I want to feel at the end of the day? What small goal can I do today that's setting those stepping stones, right, towards that other goal? And then you'll have to redirect again. It's going to
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah.
And redirect. Okay, where's my attention? What is my intention to
Mhm.
do this? That way you're learning and unlearning at the same time, which at first it's like opening up a closet and everything comes flying out and you're like, oh my God, it's a bigger mess than I anticipated. Although you start categorizing, you start organizing a little bit more, and then it becomes a little easier. So just having that attention on your intention will really go far, and having that ease and grace for yourself. That's
Mhm.
what I've learned.
Wow, you learn a lot of knowledge in that RV traveling, don't you?
Yes,
Wow. There you go.
lots of things.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear from Michelle on this, and then we're going to go and let folks know how they can get involved. A lot of you guys got events coming up and all kind of cool stuff. So what's your thoughts on this? Things and get in the way and how we can help it.
Well, I'm just going to echo what everybody else said. And also just having compassion for yourself, because there's no one perfect. You're not going to do it perfectly. And in the self-sabotage world, I expect my clients to go back to what I call their tool shed. And the tool shed is the thing that they're trying to get away from. They lock it up. The tool shed are the tools that they use to numb, to feel better, to ignore the problem. And so, during the whole process, they lock up that tool shed. But then during the process, when it gets difficult, they might go back to that tool shed, but they go back to that tool shed maybe after a week has gone by, maybe, and then it doesn't feel good, right? And then they let 2 weeks go by and they go back to the tool shed. And eventually, after practice, perfect practice makes perfect, but nothing is ever perfect. But I'm just saying, practice and consistency is the key, and compassion for yourself. The toolbox stays locked and they don't end up going back to it ever, but it is a process. I mean, Mike said that he worked on his stuff for a year, and a year sounds like a long time, but in the big scheme of things, it's just a little piece of grain of sand in the sandbox of life. So
Yeah, no, it is. That's a fast time. I mean, I've worked on myself here and there, but it's like I'm the amateur champion boxer, and then you go to the professional bouts, right? It's like, whoa, wow. And I don't know if you ever arrive. I think you just keep improving and then you die.
I think you're dead when you arrive. So don't, just keep on growing.
But see, that's what I mean. The perspective changed everything. I said, I don't expect life to be easy anymore. I just expect to get harder, stronger, wiser. That's it. I can't stop the wave from crashing in, but I can learn how to surf my ass off, right? Like that's the perspective. And that's kind of what the overtone of what you all not just teach, but you do. And that's what I mean. We don't seek help for a lot of reasons, but we should. And the whole point of having you on here is every one of you has had experience, and then you took that experience in life, went and got your certifications, learned how to teach others and got and be there. That's why you're so daggum effective. So when you're talking to them, I'm embarrassed. It's like going to the proctologist. That's a little embarrassing, but I mean, that's what they do, right? It's you don't want to just do it randomly, but that's the same thing. If we go take our cars to the mechanic, right? Why? Because if I touch the car, I know I'm a redneck, but not all of us are that good. That's a stereotype, right? I don't work on engines. But if the car breaks, I don't go in there just monkey around with it, right? So same thing with the brain. That's what I told somebody the other day. Oh, you went to therapy? Absolutely. I don't need to be messing around here by my daggum self. That's why it's in the shape it's in, right? Like I need to go find somebody who can help guide me through it, right? Like I know how to eat right. Everybody knows how to do that, but I still have to call David, say, hey, accountability calls go a long way, right? And then I jump on April's meditation. Yeah, because I want to meditate, but the dog barks, things happen. I went to take a nap today, and guess what? I never nap. As soon as I walked in and nap, guess what happened? Family comes in arguing. Yeah. Oh, why is Dad upset? Yeah, one time a year I try to nap, y'all come in with nonsense. But again, regulation, right? Go out there and seek help, seek support. So on that note, everyone, and thank you all for attending. And it's Christmas time and everybody is still here. Holidays are approached. It's December and people are still here. Love the Hounds. Love you guys. Cannot wait to unveil this. Man. Lead gen's a problem, especially for heart-centered people who hate pitch slapping and bothering people. And we've got the formula, man. We can go out there and spread good things, make an impact through our business. Cannot wait. If you don't know what I'm talking about, message somebody, let them know you're a hound in the comments, and just pick it up. I have a group call. That's it. And the minimum of that, you might get on somebody's show, even if you don't join the Hounds. And I know people, I refer you anyway. It's not about us. We want to see people get unstuck. You have something special to do in this world, an impact to make. And now more than ever, people want to do that, right? But they won't. Most won't do it. You know why? Because they don't have the support and resources to get it done. That's why we have the pack. That's why we do these shows. That's why we introduce these folks to you, so you can get unstuck. Absolutely. So let's tell people how to find you, what events and things you have coming up. David, we'll start with you. You got that great book. People are loving it. I love it, man. It's now, hey, real quick, y'all see this? Y'all see me drinking hose water out of a beer mug, right? Y'all see that? So this is David. This is David. All right. So I'm making up for the orange juice, big dog. That's what that is. All right. So what do you have going on? I know you do wellness workshops, but you also do coaching, right? One-on-one. You have a book. You have a lot of things. So where can people find you, and how can they tap in this year or next?
But they can find me on LinkedIn. They can also get my book, Jaded Health, which is my 5th book, on Amazon. It's the most current one. And they can reach out to me at jadedhealth.com, or they can just send me an email at davidmedansky@gmail.com. It's my first and last name at gmail.com. And happy to answer questions for people.
Yeah. I say, hey, I said, what am I supposed to do to get healthier? He's like, drink water. I'm like, hey, that's the only thing I do right. And try to get, and now I'm working on the other 8.
Avoid the orange juice.
Yeah.
I have to
Don't drink
second
orange
that.
juice.
Sorry.
So, no, I forgot all about it. I had been on autopilot. Again, I'm going to take time off, and I messed up, guys, in the audience, Hounds. I messed up and told everybody on this panel that I was going to take a week off. So now I'm going to, this
Accountability.
is the wrong place to say.
Yeah, talking about
My God.
autopilot, Mike, reminds me of the airplane, that if you're going from Los Angeles to New York or vice versa, and you're off 1 degree, you can be off course as much as 266 miles. But most airplanes today are on autopilot, so they're always course correcting about 95% of the time. So if you get off course and you indulge like you did this morning with the orange juice, don't beat yourself up. Just get back on course like you are now with the water.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, don't tell him I had a McGriddle too. No,
Your secret is safe with me.
Yeah. Nobody tells David nothing. So, all right. Now I'm getting in trouble with foot and mouth disease. April Wyett, all right, you got all kind of stuff. Look at all those QR codes. My God. So where can folks plug in now, later, and some of your big events?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mike. This has been so much fun. I just have to say I've so enjoyed being here with everyone and everyone chiming in the audience. Thank you, everyone, for the love and support and just being here for yourself. You're showing up for you, and that's what matters. And speaking of showing up, I am offering a retreat, a reset, restore retreat for purposeful driven women. And that's going to be in Escondido, California. And for Hounds of Business ladies, I have a special offer for you. So DM me about that. Michelle's already checked in with me on that. I'm super excited. And I have a podcast, of course. And I also am an author. I wrote a mindfulness journal to help people keep journaling, right? And especially for the new year, just even journaling about what's going on. How are you feeling? What's happening in your life? That really helps to reflect on that. And you can reach me by connecting to me with my website, livingwithintention.co, or on LinkedIn. I'm also on YouTube, on too many things, right? On Facebook and Instagram, April Wyett, Living with Intention. So looking forward to connecting with you. And also Shelly Cohen, I need to get in touch with you, Shelly. So thanks again, everyone, for being here.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of that, and I left 15 of the QR codes off for April Wyett. No, I'm joking. So like Shelly Cohen. Oh my gosh, you're talking about somebody with, y'all go check out the last show. We did a couple of her the last couple of weeks. Amazing. The way she overcome, when I have a bad day, that's the last person I'm going to whine to. Not, wow. Like I get a paper cut, I'm out of the game for a week. This lady, I'm telling you, she is resilience personified. So thank you for coming. And all right, so look, I'm about to fall over. So is it let's go with Julie, because I've got her slide ready. Julie,
Okay.
you have a lot of good stuff coming up,
Okay.
and people
Yeah.
need you. A lot of folks are struggling.
Yeah.
So what you got going up, and I'll get it.
Yeah, so we have Integrate Trauma Informed Network. We specialize in trauma informed leadership training, which is just essentially self leadership. It's another way of saying, coaching yourself, all the things we've talked about today, so you can be, thriving with others and with yourself. So we have quite a bit coming up. So one, you can find me on LinkedIn and on Instagram. We're also on Facebook. If you just look up Integrate Network on any of those, you can find us, or my name. You can go on our website at www.let'sintegrate.live. And you can see all of our upcoming events. We also are downloading, you also can hear all about how we're downloading an app on December 15th. So you can just download an app soon. But we also have a great event coming up here that is sort of like a big show off of our community called the Trauma Informed Leadership Symposium. And we have holistic coaches, we have business coaches, we have community managers, social workers, we have an integrated pediatrician, we have Sarah O'Brien, who's a part of the Hounds too. And we're all talking about what skills we need, where does our consciousness need to be in order to support each other, have these interpersonal skills so we can all thrive and problem solve in our businesses together and hold our relationships with high importance, right? Because we all need each other to make business move forward, right? And so we need to kind of have some conscious communication and some of these understandings of how we problem solve when we are in an activated space. So we are talking about those skills specifically in this conference, and everyone's kind of bringing in their own specialty, sort of like here, but in this pre-recorded symposium. So.
Wow, that looks like a big undertaking. I'm glad you started early, and we are proud to sponsor and partner with you and get this out there because, again, this is life-changing for many people. And wow, so thank you for that. And do y'all see me over here? Remember Dr. Evil? Remember Austin Powers? My chair just keeps sinking. Either that or my desk is growing. I'm not. So somebody tell Santa I need a chair. Oh my goodness. And I won't buy one. I'll go buy a bunch of hats I don't need, but I won't buy an office chair. You'll see me on the floor here in about 2 months because I didn't buy a chair. All right. So let's stop rambling about the chair and let's finish up with Michelle. What do you have coming up? You have an assessment. You have all kind of stuff people can tap into because
Yeah.
what you and Julie do a lot of times, people don't want to open up about it.
Right.
So you have resources that they can go check out without you worried about you pitch slapping or bothering them or anybody finding out, because confidentiality is a big deal when it comes to this, guys.
Well, confidentiality is the number one thing with me, and there's nothing. This is a no judgment zone. There's nothing you can tell me that surprises me, that's going to, cause me to call the local media company and say, "Oh my gosh, listen to this new one." But no, just go to my website, elanvital-coaching.com. There is a self-sabotage quiz on there, and you can see where you fall on the self-sabotage scale. And it's free. And then there's also resources in my resource section with blogs, but there's also a 7-day journal that I created, a blood sugar balance guide, because if you don't have a healthy blood sugar balance, you're not going to have a healthy brain, and it's harder to make healthy choices and deal with your stuff. And there's also a resource to download about meditation, hypnotherapy that's pretty informative as well. So all free.
Thank you, Royce. This has been fun. I woke up. I've been dragging the day, and I'm like, wow. Now I woke up. Y'all want to go again? Another hour? No.
Sure.
Not today. Look, April's good until 10. Are you on Central Time right now? What time
I am
on
Central Time. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and you're good about that. You set your own personal boundaries, man. If
Yep,
you don't get it out
9:30.
at 10,
My phone is shut down at 9:30. Mike found that out. I was like, sorry, dude. I shut down at 9:30.
We were watching CJ's show one day.
I know. I'm like, I gotta go.
And I just kept putting, 10 minutes left. I just kept putting, it's 9:15. Oh no. I was like, 9:24. Y'all better say hi to April. Because they gave her a shout out and then she left. And I was like, where'd she go? And
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be careful what you take to bed with you. The
Yeah.
last hour before you go to bed is, unless you intentionally make that intention when you put your head on the pillow, thinking about what you're grateful for, setting those intentions. If you go to bed thinking about all the things, that's what you're going to wake up with. So that's why people don't sleep so well. So turn it off, power it down, say I love you to Mike, and sorry.
Y'all remember Gremlins 2? David, remember Gremlins 2? Remember the gremlin that talked? That's me. I'm the most cultured redneck on planet Earth. When I go to other like redneck, hoedowns and stuff, they look at me funny. They're like, what is that? They're confused. They're like, it's not pure redneck. I was like, nope. I've been around y'all too long. But again, that's a good thing. But who you run around, what you think about, what you're, all this stuff rubs off on you. It can rub off in a positive or a negative. So surround yourself with good people who push you up, who are trustworthy. And that's why we put folks on here. We just don't put anybody up here, guys. I don't say, if I don't know these people, I don't talk about it. All right. So if you're looking for help or support, or you just want to have a conversation that could lead to something else, right? Reach out to these folks, right? Don't be shy. Support. Go to their, that's why they do audios and live streams, right? They do this not just because they're bored, right? They do it because they want to plant seeds and let you know you're not alone. So thank you for all your hard efforts. You're here on a holiday, and folks that are in the comments, folks in the Hounds, you guys make this special. If it wasn't for you, and I'm not saying this to be cute, I'm just some dude in a camo hat taking a walk, right? You guys really make this possible. So I love you guys. Appreciate everything you do. And it's my pleasure and honor to be able to roll out this new system, right? And the things that we have in place to get things done on a level we never seen before. No, two life-changing things a week's not enough anymore. We want 20, 30, 40 a week, right? And we're there. So don't do it alone. No strays out there. Build a business is hard enough. All right. Get the support, mental, business, all of it. It's right here. So tune in. Guys, next week, I don't even know who I got next week. I can't even. That's bad.
I'm going to be with David next week.
Oh, really? What y'all doing?
We're with you at the Mike King Show.
There you go. Well, I wanted someone else to say it. I didn't. No, but I'll be honest. I did forget for a split second. I know it's bad. That's why I got a calendar. Like, hey, don't laugh at me. You can't tell me your phone number nowadays, so I don't want to hear it. Right? So,
I can't.
All right. David can. David, yeah, we're old school. We got the rotary dial phone. Remember, 5. Yeah, that's us. All right, guys, have fun. Thank you, Julie. You've been running ragged, and you're here. We love it. Thank you so much, Michelle. You're the most open person ever. April, you're the real deal. You're just who you are. I love it. Yeah, April's the same all the time.
Navy
And David,
Mom.
Navy Mom. Yeah, and well, I don't know if Baby Fingers is still here, but we're going to give you 3 slices because you're the bomb. But hey, and thank you, Level Up. Thank you for what you did. She came and taught a class today for some of amazing. It's just amazing what you could do around this place. And David, your book, can people find that on Amazon still or not?
Yes, it's on Amazon.
Jaded Health. All right, on Amazon. Go pick it up. Makes a great gift. All right, so I'm gonna stop rambling. Everybody have a good time. All right. Hey, set boundaries this year. That's the intentional word today. All right, have fun. I will look
Have a
for
good
the
evening.
buttons.
Bye.
Bye.
There you go.
Be well.
Princess Wave.
Keep living with
leave when-
intention.
Thank y'all for stopping by. Be sure to follow, share, and like, and send me a message if you had fun today. Y'all come back now. Nope, we're still live because I can't push the buttons.